Now you figure that out, smarty!
Greetings, Lighthead here, and today's video aims to clear up all this silly "I'm an alpha, I'm a sigma" nonsense that's been doing the rounds in recent months. There seems to be so much insecurity about where men sit in the social order, and why it's so apparently important and bowel-tremblingly meaningful, and the truth of the matter is, social hierarchy really isn't difficult to understand, so what follows here is a comedic education on the definitions of such roles, and why you should probably consider it all to ultimately be a load of old codswallop. That means nonsense to those of you living in the colonies. I speak, of course, of alphas, sigmas, and the rest. Okay class, here's a brief chart detailing where these roles sit in the pantheon of the high street, because it's always insecure men in pubs or scumbags like Andrew Tate banging on about this stuff, isn't it? Yes, this is exactly what these so-called motivational speakers would have you believe, so it's time to dive in and find out. There we are, you see? Very simple. The alphas sit at the top, lording it up, commanding the pack and generally dealing with any wannabes looking to take dominance of both the men and women folk. For a useful visual representation, alphas are basically Donald Trump. Also at the top, but not requiring any form of followers, comes the Sigma, the lone wolf, the tough guy. In other words, the Chuck Norris. Being all manly and alone and loving it. Next are the betas, who sit by the right hand of the alpha, passing down rules and commands, acting as lieutenant. Yes, that's how it's actually pronounced for those of you living in the colonies, because it's a French word and not English, and fills in for the role of alpha should he be rendered incapable of fulfilling his duties. These guys are basically Oates from Hall and Oates. Reliable, but definitely secondary. Gammas too are capable and respected, but they are also susceptible to challenges from lower ranks looking to rise up, and thusly have to be constantly wary of being ousted, not unlike Keir Starmer. The Delta, if you know your Latin alphabet, is the fourth in command and capable of filling in for a beta or even an alpha, and are usually up front in a fight. They're hard-working types that usually don't receive much in the way of recognition, not entirely unlike Lurch from the Addams Family. And finally we see the Omegas, who are basically just breeding stock for the Alphas like Bonnie Blue. And... wait a minute. Breeding stock? What the hell? Are we even talking about people here? Nope. You see, after all that guff, it's time to shine the light of truth upon these farcical proceedings, and that is... it's all nonsense. That's right. All these alpha and omega ramblings are exactly that. It's all based on nothing more than a pseudo-scientific study that was conducted on wolves. Yes, wolves, not human beings. Yes, really. Look it up if you don't believe me. And that so-called study was made back in the 1940s and was complete bullshit. Farcically, it was all based upon a misunderstanding in the perception of wolf ranks and can't be considered real science. Just crap. Complete and utter crap. I feel so deceived! Sorry, bros, but your would-be posturing mechanic is nothing more than a load of old lies, and you don't get to use it because it was never real. Which I find very amusing. Just look at fools like Andrew Tate or Wes Watson going out of their way to convince the world of how hard they are. And they do try so very, very hard, only to fail, don't they? Imagine pretending to be rich, renting elaborate apartments and cars only to be exposed as a fraud. It's little wonder these clowns are attracting so much attention lately. It's because they're not intelligent enough to realise that most people can see through all their whiny teenager having a tantrum nonsense and poke so much fun at them, particularly when they get sent to jail.
If he comes to your gym, call the police. Don't engage, because if you get arrested for anything else, you'll be locked up in jail until your trial.
Okay, I just want to, real quick.
Mr. Watson, please don't make any statements. You and I can talk about it. Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
sorry about that.
No problem. No problem. I'll make sure your bond is arranged. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
If you're going to consciously choose to commit crimes, then you're not exactly in a position to call yourself a man. Men don't go around breaking laws to try and make things better for themselves. They have the character to live the hard way. Tate, Watson et al. Aren't men. They're boys, loudly pretending to be men despite not having the first clue what that even looks like, and utterly humiliating themselves in the process. So, do yourself a favour and the rest of us a huge favour and stop looking up to them and acting like them. They're jokes who can only survive by feeding off of other people's ignorance. I've referred to Jimmy Carr's excellent observations before, and I shall do so again.
Andrew Tate to me is a 14-year-old's idea of what a man looks like. It's not, right? He's cosplay Grand Theft Auto.
Good old Jimbo calling it like it is there. If men aren't educated about the lie that is the alpha-omega hierarchy, then we'll continue to get wannabe top men like these buffoons.
This is Alpha Man Boot Camp, and these men have paid $18,000 for 3 days of training. The sole purpose of this camp is to put men through tough and uncomfortable situations to build character and the mentality of never giving up when times get hard. During this training, you will have to endure an ice bath, drag yourself up a hill without slowing down, or you will be dragged down and back crawl on a train track with gravel.
The truth is, they're all con men. What sort of real man would go to the trouble to set up a conference hall and snacks and pamphlets, only to show up wearing a wife-beater and trainers and talking about how hard he is? That's not something real men do. Real men sit at home on the PlayStation, attempting to low-key avoid chores and their wives nagging. We just want to play video games! And as a quick aside, if there are any women watching this who believe that the whole alpha blah nonsense is a thing for women, no. It isn't. Still nonsense. Now, go find your poor, beleaguered husband and force some more chores upon him. He's probably in the back room somewhere trying to get in a few hours on the PlayStation. Leave him alone! Ultimately, I would advise not caring even a little bit about pseudo-social bollocks, and instead focus on what it means to be a real person, because these scummers who are happy to lie and cheat and steal and dump on their fellow human beings aren't deserving of the title of man. They're just parasites, feeding off the ignorance of clueless men who convince them to become something ugly, petty, and selfish. And do you know what Joey Swole would say to that?
You need to do better.
Make a man of me, Joey.
Real men don't tread on others and scream and shout and posture boorishly. No, they show respect and character. We need a lot more of that, and we need cretins like Tate and Watson, etc., to be removed from society until they can demonstrate that they understand what being a grown-up is. Fat chant. Like and subscribe.